Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for stopping back by this channel. Today, we have a video from the Rising the Hill TV news. The Dems are on the run. They are scrambling. They are losing the black vote. They don't know what else to do. They're panicked. But let's see what they have to say.
Democrats are scrambling to appeal to early black voters, a constituency the party will need to rely on when it comes to squeaking out a win for President Biden in 2024. One Democratic strategist told The Hill, quote, "The barrier here is not how do we make them like Biden. The barrier here is how do we convince them that government works."
President Biden continues to laud his administration's achievements for the black community, but Fox polling from 2020 and 2023 shows his popularity among these voters.
What achievement? What achievements does President Biden have in the black community? What achievements does President Biden have in any community? Look at us. Look at this state of this country. I don't get it. Tell me in the comments if I'm missing something. What achievements can he tout?
Plummeting, while Donald Trump has seen a substantial boost. Here to discuss further is co-host of Revolutionary Blackout Network and host of the Savvy Saps podcast, Sabrina Salvati. Welcome, Sabrina.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So do you buy, the administration's claims that everybody, including everybody in the black community, should just be all fine and dandy with how things have turned out?
I do not. I think that I have heard more from black people that they're not willing to just cave over and vote for the Democratic Party this time around. I think that poll is very telling. This is the first time, at least since I've been eligible to vote, where I've seen 20% support from African Americans for a Republican presidential candidate. So Donald Trump support
20%. That is huge. I don't think there's ever been that much support from the black community for any Republican president since the 60s. That's my guess, the 60s. But yeah, let's keep going.
Support among African Americans has actually increased compared to where it was in 2020. And I think the Democratic Party should be very concerned about this. I think this idea that Donald Trump is scary, and I'm just not convinced that that message about Donald Trump is going to work with black voters this time around in 2024 the way that it did in 2020. And I say this because during 2020, that was a chance when we were like, well, we could have a Biden presidency and it could be different compared to how it was with Donald Trump. Well, now we've had both. We've had a Biden presidency and we've had a Trump presidency. And a lot of African American voters feel that economically their life is not improved and it's actually become worse under Joe Biden presidency.
That's because it has. Everything in this country has gotten worse under Joe Biden presidency. If you don't think so, you need to look at the numbers or maybe go buy gas.
So I think that the Democratic Party should be very concerned because they cannot win without African American support. And this could turn the page, I think, in reference to we look at electoral politics and where people stand, African Americans stand in reference to the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. So we could see a change here.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a little like Joe Biden is the victim of his own 2020 rhetoric, where he was very explicit about how much he needed the black vote to win not just the presidency, but the Senate in Georgia, and made very specific and targeted politics to both people in Georgia and to black Americans on the whole, including setting a one-year deadline for himself to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which, of course, we're now blown, 2 years past that deadline, 2.5 years past that initial deadline he set for himself. Obviously, canceling student debt is not something that happened, but people tend to forget that he specifically said he would cancel all student debt for graduates of HBCUs. We have not seen that. Instead, we see an HBCU being targeted earlier this week, where black students in particular, were targeted to be victims of hate crimes only because that shooter was not let in Jacksonville. Did that not end up being the case? We obviously had the whole rigmarole over the amount that was promised in the checks that didn't come to fruition. And in the backdrop of all of that, I'm seeing a new stat showing that only 2% of Black millennials make over $100,000 a year. Now, obviously, $100,000 is twice as much as the American average, but those are also very small numbers compared to other groups. So what do you think that Biden might have to show? Is it possible for him to show anything to the Black community at that point that would give them confidence that he's able and willing to follow through on whatever campaign promises he makes this time around?
I'm not sure that any changes that he makes right now would actually change people's minds, for the people who said that 20%, for example, that said that they support Donald Trump. And the reason why I say that is because this isn't just about Joe Biden. This goes back to other Democrat presidents that have not fulfilled their promises and have not tried to help the Black community. That includes Barack Obama, who is a big disappointment for a lot of African Americans in this country in reference to where he stood with helping people in the Black community. Joe Biden really doesn't have a Black agenda. And I think that's important for people to understand. It's one thing when you're running for president, you make these promises and then you don't fulfill them. And the Democratic Party, for a long time, they have pandered to the Black community.
Let's stop right there. She made some very good points. She said that Biden doesn't have a Black agenda. She said that Democratic presidents make a lot of promises and they don't fulfill them. And she stated Biden and Barack Obama. And she said that the Black vote has been Democrat for a very long time. And it has. It's been that way since 1964. And that's because of the way history remembers things. 1964, the Civil Rights Act. The Democratic Party was dead set against Civil Rights Act of 1964. They were against it. 100%. Like, there was a fight. The Republicans fought and fought and fought and got the vote to pass that Civil Rights Act of 1964. But guess what? Democratic president. So what does that mean? Well, LBJ got to sign the 64 Civil Rights Act, thus securing the Democratic's place in history as the party that gave civil rights in 1964. When they had nothing to do with it, they didn't even want it, they fought against it, but they get to claim the glory because they were sitting in the presidential seat. So what happened after that? How did they secure the vote? Because I'm not going to quote him directly, but LBJ did say in 1964 that now that the Civil Rights Bill had passed, he's going to make sure that they get the Black vote for the next 200 years. And well, here we are 59 years later, and he's been right. Why not now? Well, because I don't think he could see the future, because the cards didn't show that guy to LBJ. So they did a lot of things. The biggest thing that he did after signing the bill and making that statement was he made fundamental changes to the welfare system in this country. He called it his war on poverty, but what he basically did was increase spending on welfare to single parent homes. That's right. If you were a single mother, you made more money than if you were married. That's where the marriage decline among certain communities declined, because it's all a money game. But then once you get that money, then what? Then the Democrats kicked in. You can't do this without us. The Republican Party, they want to keep you down. They want to take away all this free stuff we're giving you. You need us. You need us. You need us. How? Why? Well, because they knew that up until 1964, the Black vote was Republican, because the Republicans stood up for equality among all races. And how you also know, I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a rant, but this kind of stuff aggravates me. When you go and try to get a job and you fill out an application for a job or for a college, right? A lot of us have always, our whole life, seen the ethnicity and the race portion on an application. Do you know that that was never a thing? That didn't exist until 1964. Wow. Why is that? Oh, that's right. Because affirmative action took over. So now they had to put that on there so that companies could abide by the affirmative action law. All of those policies were established by the Democrats, and all of those policies are established to divide us as a people. You know, I think I've talked enough on this. If you made it this far in a video, I thank you. If you could, please like, share, and if you haven't already, and I've said something that you agree with or something that, you know, made you think, hey, I could watch this guy again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And if you do subscribe, let me know in the comments, and I will get back in touch with you personally. I'm going to put the link to this video in the description so that if you want to go back and finish watching it, you can. But yeah, I'm Kix. Thanks for watching.